Team Fortress 2, the first-person shooter from 2007, released in the orange box alongside Half-Life 2 and Portal. This game has been through so much. From going free-to-play, to becoming the world's greatest hat simulation game, to having its own economic crisis, and more recently having a wave of bots trying to take over their servers. But this game is like a vampire. It latches on. It hasn't had food or water in over 1,000 days. Everyone says it's dead, but there it is. Very clearly, very still alive. Is Team Fortress 2 worth playing in 2020? Well, first of all, it's free to play, as well as being the first game that I, and probably many other people ever owned on Steam. And whether or not it's worth playing in 2020, at least my answer to that question might be a little skewed because I have well over 600 hours in this game. It's nowhere near as some of the more dedicated people, but it's still a hefty chunk of time. But as the Scottish Cyclops says,
"Don't fret, boyo, I'll be gentle."
Oh, that's not right. Try it again.
Let's do it!
There we go. That's better.
Thankfully, I already don't remember this.
Now, as biased as my answer may be, this game has been around for 13 years. It's possible that there are some people playing this game that weren't born when this game was released. A game that has managed to survive for this long has to have some qualities to it that allows it to carry on after all this time. I suppose we should start with its art style, how it looks. It's very similar to the movie posters, kind of like in the 60s, looking kind of like The Incredibles. As a result, despite having no major graphical updates to its models, it still looks great. And looking great is actually quite a large part of this game. It is, after all, the world's greatest hat simulator. So there are hundreds and hundreds of cosmetics. Almost 10 years of hats and hat-like accessories means that there are a fair few ways to change up the looks of your mercenaries, if you're willing to pay up. Because you do have to pay for the cosmetics. But if you take nothing away from this other than playing the game and want to get some cosmetics, listen to this. Do not use the in-game shop. No. I made this mistake as a younger creature. Let all the other people do all the spending for you. You can just buy it off of them when they open up a loot box, decide they don't want it, and they sell it on the Steam Community Marketplace for 50p. The same goes for weapons. Don't get the ones in the in-game store. You can get them on the marketplace for pennies instead of pounds. Save your money. I mean, you can unlock them by playing the game, but if you want to rush it, you know. Speaking of which, let's talk weapons. Somehow, after 13 years of mostly constant updates, this game somehow still manages to not have a massive power curve, power creep that normally happens in these sorts of games. The weapons that you start with tend to be considered the best all-round weapons to use. This is because TF2's weapons aren't upgrades. They're more side grades, adding some cool bonuses, but having something to counterbalance it so that it's not just better than the stock. Let's look at the rocket launcher. Very, very nice, very iconic. Now let's look at its side grade, the direct hit. It does more damage and the rockets fly faster, but it doesn't really do splash damage. Or the black box. You heal every time you hit people, but you get less rockets overall. This sort of balancing is done for every weapon throughout the game, meaning that whatever weapon you use, you're probably not gonna have a bad time. Now, let's talk story. Doesn't have any. There is plenty of story to be found in the cinematics and comics outside of the game, and they're pretty good if you find the time to read them. If you're looking for a quick idea of these characters though, you can check out the Meet the Team videos on the Team Fortress YouTube channel. They are really cool videos that give you a quick idea of what each character is about. But what about in-game? What do you do? What is this game? Well, it's a first-person, class-based shooter with game modes such as...
Push cart!
And
Plant yourself on the point, mister.
then let's not forget... What was that one? Right, yeah, capture the flag. These are all great game modes to play. But if you're wanting to take your play to the next level, there's this little competitive button right here. It's kind of dead. It's nowhere near as popular as the main game mode. You're looking between 5 and well beyond 30 minutes for a game sometimes. But that's because the competitive scene is done outside of the game using sites such as TF2 Outpost and stuff like that. But okay, say you don't want to fight other players. Well, what option is there for you? Well, there's Man vs. Machine. And I don't mean trying to find a game filled with aimbots and see if you can win. I mean the actual game mode where you fight against waves of robots as you try to prevent them from bringing a bomb to your home base. It's kind of like a first-person tower defense. And if that also isn't enough for you, then let's take a walk on the wild side. There are hundreds of community servers and they vary massively, from pretty much being a standard casual server to the weird and wild servers that change what you thought you knew about the game. Crazy maps that are puzzles, or servers dedicated to learning rocket jumping. Rocket jumping is the mystical art of propelling yourself through the air at ludicrous speeds by firing a rocket at your feet while you jump. It sounds crazy. Kinda is. It's great though, I love it. But it's also where we get into the game's more complex elements. At a first glance, every class looks rather simple. Look at the soldier. He's a man with a rocket launcher and a shotgun. He shoots rockets, and then he has a shotgun. That's soldier. But when you actually look into it and try some of the more difficult techniques, you quickly discover that what seemed like a small little ice cap in the water was actually a huge iceberg of depth. Even in just rocket jumping, there is learning how to pogo, to sync jump, to link multiple jumps together, to b-hop, to rocket jumping into whipping out a shovel and then hitting someone over the head with it. That's all part of rocket jumping. One mechanic of one class. It's a pretty deep game. And I think that's why people like this game so much. It's easy to learn, but very, very difficult to master. Taking to truly master a class probably well over 1,000 hours. For this depth, in a free-to-play game, it's phenomenal. It's probably one of the reasons why it stayed in Steam's top 10 concurrent played list for a very, very, very long time. Overall then, do I recommend this truly free-to-play game with a ridiculous amount of depth, an amazing community on both YouTube and pretty much everywhere else? I mean, TF2 is like meme culture in and of itself. The community tackles cheaters as efficiently as a tank tackles a wall. Like, cheaters here, cheaters gone, that took 5 seconds. Let's not forget the endless community maps and plenty of other things that I couldn't fit into this video. Oh, I absolutely suggest that you go play this game. Stop watching this video and go play this game. Go relax, have fun, play this, unless you're at work or you can't. Just think about playing the game. But that's it for this video. If you've liked it, don't forget to like it, and if you found this video helpful, or you want to see more stuff just like this, well, there's a subscribe button down there, and I'm sure you know what to do with it. But until next time, did you know I'm English? Cheerio.